y'all, it's Stephie and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing our monthly Q&A. For those of y'all who are newer to my channel, I'm going to link all of my Q&As in a playlist up here in the cards. I write all of the questions in the description box, so maybe I've already answered your question, but if not, then go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I will try my best to get to it. Yes, so we better get started because I'm trying to keep this to 20 to 30 minutes at most. First question is from Peckman. What's the difference between an MBA in accounting and a Master's of Accountancy? Which is better from an employer's point of view? I believe an MBA is a little bit more broadly focused. In an MBA, there's going to be more like finance, business related courses, whereas a Master's in Accountancy is going to focus more on accounting topics. An MBA in accounting, you'll have some graduate level accounting classes, but it's not as focused on accounting as a Master's in Accountancy would. From an employer's point of view, when it comes to public accounting firms, I don't think that they really distinguish between MBA or a Master's in Accounting as much. As long as you are CPA exam eligible, that's really all they care about. For industry, I think that it just depends. An MBA is probably a little bit better for later on in your career when you are applying for executive positions or leadership, higher upper level positions. During the interviewing processes that I've either been a part of or that I have done as like I interview other people, didn't really distinguish between a Master's in Accountancy or an MBA in accounting. That's my personal opinion and what I've observed. But if y'all have differing opinions or observations, please leave them in the comments below. I know I would appreciate that, and I know others would appreciate that as well. Coco asked, whose busy season generally sucks more, tax versus audit? That is a good question. I think it really depends. Tax busy season, their April 15th deadline, there's September 15th, October 15th, 3 different like busy season deadlines for them, and they would stay late at the office and stuff like that. From that perspective, tax was worse because they knew they would have 3 busy seasons, and I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong because I don't work in tax. So from that perspective of already knowing what your busy season is going to be, you know you're signing up for that when you go into tax. Now for audit, it was a little bit different because depending on what clients or engagements you were put on would determine how bad your busy season was going to be. The typical busy season for audit, typical because this is what they market to you whenever you're interviewing and recruiting and stuff like that. Typical busy season is from January through the end of April. It was my experience though that especially as I moved up in public accounting as a senior and then as a manager, I still felt like I was really busy throughout the entire year. Deadlines that kind of popped up unexpectedly at times. The 2 options you have, either you're in tax, you know when your deadlines are and when your busy seasons are. In audit, you know one busy season, but depending on the clients or engagements you are put on, you can have unexpected ones pop up. So pick your poison. And either way, I think that they all work a lot. I do have a card chat that I will link in the cards as well about how to choose between tax and audit. Hopefully that will be helpful for you as well. Blind Fury asked, how do I get into Big 4 from a non-target school? Only 2 out of 4 Big 4 recruit at my school. I have answered this question in a previous Q&A, so please check the playlist. Maricela Gonzalez asked, what kind of accountings are they? I think that you're asking what kind of accountants are there. If not, please, comment below and clarify, and I'll be happy to answer. In a nutshell, and I won't go into a lot of detail, in accounting you can go into tax for individuals or for companies, work on a company's like tax provision, which is basically figuring out how much a company is going to owe the government at the end of the year based on their revenues and reducing it by allowed expenses, stuff like that. Tax planning, so that's one route. You can either go work for a company or you can work for yourself if you can, gain a lot of clients by yourself, probably after some years of experience. I would suggest after years of experience under someone who is experienced and knowledgeable. Or you can do this in public accounting. You can go into public accounting as well and do external audits, which is what I used to do. I have a separate video on what external audit means, so I will link that in the cards as well. You can go into consulting, new accounting standard implementation, system implementations. Maybe they're shorthanded in the accounting department because someone's on maternity leave, or they're having a hard time finding someone to fill a position, so they need people just to do the work while they find someone. Or you could go into just regular general ledger accounting, which is you work for a specific company in their accounting department, book journal entries, you do reconciliations, you do various accounting analysis or financial reporting, SEC reporting for public companies. Once all the general accounting stuff has been completed, they put this all into the financial statements. Of course, final and best, internal audit, which is what I do, testing whether policies and procedures that have been laid out by a company are being followed, whether there is appropriate checks and balances to ensure that financial statements are correct, materially correct. If there are allegations of some kind, I investigate that. One-off projects. Those are the different avenues of accounting that I can think of at the top of my head. I will do a separate video to be more complete and detailed about that, but hopefully that gives you a flavor of the different routes you can go in accounting. Okay, Nicoletta asks, I'm really interested in internal auditing jobs with traveling. You've mentioned, could you please say something more about that in some of your videos? If you want a job where you have more opportunities to travel, internal audit is definitely a good choice for you. A majority of internal audit jobs have a travel component, some more than others. There are some internal audit jobs out there that have no travel because a lot of the stuff that you do is in your corporate office and you just stay there. Some can range up to 80%, some 25% or 10%. If you do like 52 weeks out of the year, 10% of that is 5 weeks. So, you know, plan on 5 weeks of travel out of the year. The upsides of that obviously is you're getting to see new places. You can sign up for rewards so you can get like airline points, hotel points, car rental points, and that can help you pay for, you know, fun vacations. The downside to that is depending on the company, it may be a lot of travel. Maybe not all places will be super fun. Like for example, you could end up going to some small town in Arkansas, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, if you're looking to go to New York or Boston or LA or all these bigger cities, it's going to be very specific to each company. Catherine Archeos asks, I would like to ask if you can share how Filipinos became CPAs in your place. Especially at like my mid-tier accounting firm, I worked with a lot of other Filipinos, which was awesome. A lot of them did accounting and got the CPA equivalent in the Philippines while they were in the Philippines, and they worked for different firms in the Philippines and whatnot. After getting a few years of experience there, they applied to various accounting firms here in the US, and that's how they came to the US as accountants. The Philippines license doesn't translate over here, like you'd have to retake the exam to become like a US CPA. You know, if you've done it in the Philippines, you can do it here. I hope y'all realize, because a Filipino asked me this, that's why I'm being specific to that demographic, but this is in general for everyone. As long as you have a good work ethic and you are willing to do what you need to get the job done, makes you even more marketable for any employer. So that's how I've seen Filipinos come to the US to be CPAs or work in public accounting. I have also met some Filipinos who were sponsored by companies, like not public accounting, but regular companies here in the US, and they sponsored them. And I know of some people who have stayed at those companies for many, many years, and that those companies have treated them well. If there are other from international coming to the US to work for a company in accounting or public accounting, please leave your experience down below. I know we all would appreciate hearing more about it. Jordan asked, were there any mothers working in public accounting at either of your firms? At what level of experience would it be acceptable to take maternity leave? 6 weeks presumably, and it would not hurt your career. I did work with women who were pregnant and then later on had their babies and went on maternity leave. At the Big Four firm, a lot of the women who did that I didn't see any partners who went through that. Typically I saw seniors and above doing that, but Honestly, you can do it at any point in your career. Don't let your job dictate when you have children or when you want to have children. Do you. I would suggest though that you be at a company for a year, or you know, if you get pregnant 3 months in, then you have 9-10 months, and then by then you'll be there for a year, so then your maternity leave will kick in. Or one of the greatest things that I really enjoyed about public accounting was that their maternity leave policies were amazing. Like I wanted to have a baby while I was in public accounting so that I could take advantage of it, but you know, life didn't go that way. So the firms that I worked at would pay 100% paid maternity leave for I think 3 weeks, or I'm sorry, 3 weeks, 3 months at least, I believe. 3 to 4 months. Anyways, it was like a crazy amount of time. And you can take PTO because you get a lot of PTO. So it was a good amount of time for you to bond with your baby. So that is one of the definite perks that I like in public accounting, is their maternity leave. The one thing that I will say is, this is coming from me as your sister, so it's not on behalf of any companies. I don't necessarily feel like taking maternity leave affects your career on its own. And this is not a reflection of the entire companies that I worked for. There was very specific people who I feel looked down at women who went on maternity leave because like, oh, they're not here, then why should they get promoted because of blah, blah. But that's very specific people, and those people had issues. So forget that. Before you go on maternity leave, you do your best to do whatever you need to do to transition it to someone smoothly and as completely as you possibly can. I mean, that's all you can do. It is possible that, let's say you're not there for a busy season, that kind of puts you behind a little bit. For example, if you missed out on one busy season and then promotions are coming up in September, you may not get promoted that September because you weren't there for that busy season, which is understandable, right? But that isn't to say it's because you took maternity leave. It was because you weren't there. For anyone who wasn't there wouldn't have gotten promoted, but you could still get promoted. It's possible. All that to say, it really is going to depend on the company and the people that you work with. Good people who don't view that as like a vacation or like you're doing it to get out of work. You know, you're creating a human and you're taking care of a human. You know, once you come back, you adapt and continue doing as good as you were always doing. It shouldn't hold you back in your career unless you're with some shitty ass people. Okay. Is 40 years old too old to start going to school for accounting? I'm going to do a separate video on this. I promise I will. I'm about to film it right after I film this Q&A. I will be in the same outfit, so y'all know. In a nutshell, no, it's not. I don't think you're too old at any age. It's really not age that I would say you shouldn't be in accounting or go back to school for something. It's all about mindset. Michael Mitchell asks, is it okay to do online college at a private 4-year college because I am working in an accounting position at Walmart? Yes, I think that it's fine to do an online accounting degree. The only thing I would caution y'all on is to, if you want to get your CPA license in the future, just check with your state board to see if that online college is recognized by your accounting state board. If you go onto each state's website, it'll say like accredited schools or recognized schools or something like that. When you take those classes on your online college, that your state board is going to accept that. Otherwise, you're gonna get a very rude awakening when you apply for your CPA exam. Otherwise, I say go for it. You know, we all have to do what we gotta do, and if that's what you need to do, then more power to y'all. And I think that is becoming a lot more prevalent. Radella asked, what do you think of tattoos in accounting? Nothing too bold, just simple ones. I think tattoos are acceptable in accounting. It's really gonna vary depending on the company that you work for. Some companies are a bit more conservative. For example, if you work for a bank, that's probably gonna be a little bit more on the conservative side. They wear business professional on a daily basis, or most banks do. Those types of environments, I would say you might need to cover it up more. Like, you know, if you have it on your arm, you wear your button-up shirts. And it's really just going to depend on the company, what kind of image they want to portray. At my mid-tier firm, I feel like that was more prevalent than it was at my big 4 firm. Partners who had a tattoo on their ankle and they wore skirts and you could see it, but it wasn't like anything crazy. It was like a small tattoo. Speaking of tattoos, I really want to get a tattoo, something to resemble Juicy. Yeah, I'm obsessed. I don't think I'm there yet to get like her face somewhere on me, but like I was thinking about maybe getting juicy written somewhere. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, so that's why I haven't done it, but I'm still thinking. So if y'all have any ideas, you know, send them my way. I was thinking maybe like, what if I put juicy like right here or like on my wrist or something? Because I want to be able to see it. It's not really for everyone else, it's more for me because I want to be able to look at it. All right, so those are all the questions on my last YouTube video. So I'm gonna run over to my Instagram because I asked y'all on one of my posts. T. Sabrina asked, as someone who's studying for the CPA right now, what are your best study tips? What do you do when you run into a section of your CPA where you struggle to comprehend the concepts? Do you give it more time to study and risk falling behind pace, or give up and move on? The way that I approach my CPA exam, which I will link the complete video there, I wanted to get through all of the material in my Becker review materials because a lot of it was more like refreshing my memory from classes I had taken in university. If there were certain items that I knew I needed to spend more time on, I would dedicate more time on those areas. It's kind of vague, but for example, when I was studying for reg, I took individual tax classes, but I didn't take corporate tax. So the individual part, it was more like refresher, like I said. I went through that, you know, on a normal study pace. When it came to the corporate section, I devoted more time. I specifically gave myself like an entire day to be able to really understand the corporate topics. If I wasn't getting enough from my study materials, I went back to my old textbooks. So keep your college textbooks, number one. So I would go back into my college textbooks and try to just get more clarification there. Understanding something has a lot to do with like understanding what the words themselves mean, number one. So always looking it up on the internet or the dictionary or something like that, like really understanding what the concept of words mean, and then practical application. So doing homework problems. That's how I felt like it got into my brain more. And for the majority, my review materials had examples, or my college textbooks had examples. Outside of that, that's really all that I did. Now, you know, if I was studying for my CPA exam right now, I think there would be a lot more resources at your fingertips. Like you can look things up on YouTube or Google it. From my girl Windowsill, advice for a sister who just went from public tax to industry accounting. New team, new company, new everything, and how to make sure I don't let down a coworker that put in a good word for me. Miss Mackenzie Faith, hey girlfriend, said tips on what to do when starting a new job. It's been a while for me, LOL. Kenzie and Windowsill have a video on, you know, what I wish I knew for my first job, which I think is still applicable for when you're starting a brand new job too. So I'm gonna link that in the cards for y'all. First, try to learn the status quo right now. You know, you can always try to improve something, but first understand what's going on right now before you try to reinvent any wheels. Keep your word once you give it. That's probably one of the best things too, is to build trust with people, is if you say you're gonna do something, do it. If you say you're gonna give something to someone by a certain time, do it. Or if you're not able to for whatever reason, let them know in advance. Give them more backstory about why. Stay positive and just treat it as a learning experience. And going along with the attitude part, just know that it's going to take you a bit of time to get used to the company, the culture, the different ways people do things. It is normal to feel like you don't know what the hell's going on and feeling like an idiot, you don't know anything or whatever. Like, that is a normal feeling, and don't let that feeling get you down while you are in this brand new transition. Feel bad about myself or be like, oh, I made such a big mistake going to X place. It's going to feel uncomfortable and you're not gonna know everything. So just have a good attitude about it. Take it as, like I said, like a learning experience. It's gonna get better, just give it some time. SM Lawrence 27 asked, during your time working in industry, have you noticed that most of your colleagues have Big Four experience / CPA certifications? I have worked with people who either have one of those or both of those the majority of my career. Also, is because if you are a person who wants to be somewhat guaranteed, I use lightly, to continue progressing in your career, I really feel like those two things are super crucial. I do feel like to be more marketable and to have a competitive edge when you are trying to get different jobs, having a CPA or public accounting or both is definitely in your favor. And that has been the driving force of why I've gone down the route that I went. But not everyone has to do that, and I'm not saying that your career is going to suck if you don't do that. I'm just saying this is how I personally seen growth in a career in accounting in specific. As someone who interviewed with and received a job offer at one of the big four, what are some key things that most hiring managers would want or expect their interviewees to know about their firm? Also, how many firms should I reach out to? Apply to every single firm that comes to your school. That's what I did. The more opportunities you give yourself, the better your odds. Girl, do them all. Hiring managers want you to know about their company, whether it's public accounting or other companies, is to have at least some knowledge of that company. What they do, obviously, it's pretty easy when you do like accounting firms, you know what they do, what their products are, what their services are. So for public accounting firms, if you can research what types of services they provide, tax, audit, consulting, advisory, whatever. Each firm is very specific for their culture. So going onto their about page and reading about the culture, if there are specific values that they talk about on their webpage, then definitely remember those. I would probably write them down for each firm, and before each interview, just make sure you kind of like refresh your memory, almost like a test, but not really. Specific terms that they use, like maybe they say accountability or diversity or disruption or whatever those key terms are that they use on their web pages, you know, put that in the back of your mind. It may seem like you're sucking up, but you know what? You just want to put your best foot forward. All right, y'all. So those are all of the questions I'm going to go over in this video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to be a part of our Stephie family because we would love to have you. And I will talk to y'all in my next video. How about that? How about that? I think that's good. Ready or not, here we go. Yes, hun. This one. Okay, I think we got a thumbnail there. Awkward. La, 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 la. We gotta keep moving with these questions. I don't know if my hair is being weird right here, but I'm just gonna leave it. Yeah, that comment kind of hurt my feelings, even though I don't get many comments. Next, you wanna see your friends? I know your friends wanna see you. Come here. Where you at, girl? Where you at? Where you at, girl? There you are. Hi, hun. Up, up. You can do it. I believe in you. Yay! You are so strong and smart. Ooh. Sunday is her day of rest, y'all. Okay, we're gonna rest right after this, okay? I love you. Did you have any Q&As? Did you want to answer any questions? Okay, I'll ask you a question. Juicy, do you love your mama? Toodles.